Welcome back to my KEEPUP channel. We moved from London to Wales to pursue our dream country life, but returned after 6 months because we hated the xenophobic locals, our dog got depressed and we realized the capital is more interesting. House hunters are flocking back to London in their droves after the COVID-era exodus that saw the capital empty of homeowners. Just under 3 years ago in August 2021, nearly half of London-based house hunters were looking to leave the city, according to data from property website Rightmove. This proportion has now fallen significantly to the pre-pandemic average of about a third, based on hundreds of thousands of searches on the site. Just after the pandemic, NHS Administrator Tess and barber Jimmy Aldcroft, 35 and 39, moved to Brecon to escape the intensity of London. Tess had grown up there and the couple thought it would be the perfect place to ditch their 70-hour working weeks and have a more relaxing life as husband and wife. Tess and Jimmy, who is Australian, went to visit his relatives for a month before they moved to Brecon, thinking life in the sticks was going to be easier. Tess said, "I thought, if we can survive London, then of course we can survive the countryside." But they say they soon found locals really judgy and nosy because they had nothing else to do. Tess, who worked in research and development for a technology company before the initial move, told Mail Online, "We had been married for about 6 months. Jim was a bit fed up with his job, the speed that London was at. I was in a job that had reached its full potential. We thought this seems like a natural step." That was in March 2022. "We thought it would be easier than it was for jobs," Tess said. "It was slim pickings. I got a job as a receptionist in a local hotel that had just been taken over. Jim started pulling pints in a bar. I thought it was going to be a lot easier. I thought, if we can survive London, then of course, we can survive the countryside. We weren't as prepared for loneliness, the inconvenience. We were really arrogant in that respect. There were a lot of things that didn't make us enjoy the area. They weren't our kind of people. They weren't very kind. We found Wales really judgy. The people were nosy because they had nothing else to do. They would talk about us for lack of anything better going on. They were like, I would rather have someone local pouring my beers, at least he's Welsh." Jim absolutely hated it. They was so xenophobic about him being Australian. It was more because he wasn't local. Jim spent his entire adult life traveling around Europe and he said Wales was the only place he was judged for being Australian. Yet the Aldcrofts' move to the countryside wasn't only spoiled by tensions with the locals. Dog walking was difficult, Tess revealed. It's difficult to walk your dog off the lead in the countryside. There are signs that say, "We are going to shoot your dog if we see him off lead." We found it easier to walk our dog in London. That was a really high contributing factor for us moving back. Although the move was initially a success, Tess said the novelty quickly wore off. She said, "At first, it was great. I wasn't working 70-hour weeks. It was a change of pace. Yet soon they realized they missed London too much. Because the only jobs we could get were in hospitality, we would be working over the weekend and then everything would be closed on a Monday and Tuesday," Tess said. "When it wasn't summer, it was really sleepy. We were bored. We had nothing to talk about. We went too far. We should have gone more towards Bristol, maybe to a smaller city. We didn't even last 6 months." Jim found a job in November 2022 back in London. "We were set on trying to slow down, but we have found it now. We have set boundaries in our work lives." These days, Tess works for the NHS as an emergency department flow coordinator. Although this introduced her to a new sort of stress, she said it wasn't a bad kind. She said she loved the convenience of London and added, "We can go to the pub on a random Tuesday afternoon, and we love not having to drive everywhere. I love the anonymity of London. I live in a building of 43 flats and I know 0 people's names and it's wonderful. They know I work for the NHS and I have a big black dog and I like that." Data from estate agent Hamptons has found the percentage of Londoners looking for homes elsewhere in the UK is also now back at the pre-COVID average. Further figures from Foxtons revealed the average number of buyer inquiries per month has risen by 41% across the London market compared to last year, while the figure is as high as 153% in Dulwich and 104% in Hampstead. Other areas to make the top 10 include Ilford at 101%, Kingston at 93%, Stoke Newington at 89%, Ealing at 87%, London Bridge at 78%, St John's Wood at 77%, and Wapping and Putney both at 73%. NHS worker Tess wasn't surprised by the data. Since moving back to the capital, she said she and Jimmy have had their eyes open to what the city has to offer. She said, "We've really enjoyed the entertainment of London since we got back. Before we left, we took it for granted and didn't go to anything. Now we appreciate it 1,000 times more." Many more Londoners are deciding to stay in the capital as staff are encouraged back into the office and the city's property market appears to regain its appeal to buyers. Foxton's chief executive Guy Gittins told Mail Online, "It's been an extremely positive start to the year for the London property market and we've already seen a notable increase in the number of buyers inquiring across all but a handful of areas. This is despite the fact that mortgage rates are yet to come down and such a show of intent so early in the year only bodes well for the coming months as we head into what is traditionally the busiest time of year for market activity." Tim Bannister, Rightmove's director of property data, told the Financial Times, "We can see a resurgence in London back to pre-pandemic levels, and a general increase in the popularity of cities among buyers." Anaisha Beveridge, head of research at Hamptons, also told the FT that the return to the office trend was likely to be contributing to London's increased popularity. The onset of COVID-19 and lockdown measures in spring 2020 prompted a surge of Londoners leaving the capital for more space as millions of people began working from home. Houses with large gardens and more space with room for home offices became extremely desirable as people fled urban areas. Yet as companies continue to push for staff to come back into the office and the London entertainment and hospitality industries fully reopened, many people are now looking at making a return or pushing back plans to leave. Some who have fled London for a rural area said they had made a terrible decision, while others who returned after leaving told how they feel like a weight has lifted. Others who have moved out from London to the countryside say they have been unimpressed by the lack of things to do, poor local transport and nosy neighbours. Mortgage expert Dariush Karpovich, director at Doncaster-based Albion Financial Advice, told Mail Online, during the COVID-19 pandemic, there was a noticeable surge in remote working, which prompted many Londoners to seek homes in the countryside. However, as restrictions have lifted and companies have noticed the drawbacks of long-term remote working, such as impacts on team spirit and work attitudes, they're encouraging staff back to the office. This shift isn't entirely voluntary for many, rather, it's becoming a necessity for those wanting to remain integrated in their professional environments. Consequently, we're starting to see a trend where more people are considering moving back to London to be closer to work and the social and professional opportunities the capital offers. Gary Bush, financial advisor at mortgageshop.com, added that Londoners are still headed for the countryside but just not in such a rush, as caused by the pandemic. He also said, "The exodus from London property in 2024 started off well and then seems to have got bumped into touch by the upward swing on fixed rates again from March onwards." Meanwhile, Tracy Dixon, a broker at Pure Mortgage and Protection, said that she had observed more conversations with borrowers in the capital who are considering staying put and looking to renovate their homes. She added, "It will be interesting to see if this trend continues and how it impacts housing markets in both the capital and surrounding areas." Source: dailymail.co.uk. Please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching.